Ron.
Good morning. It's Monday, May 14th. Town of Tuppenboro Board of Selectmen meeting. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first order of business is opening of RFPs for fire apparatus. Chief, come on down. Looks like you got a whole pile of information.
Samples.
All right. So how many proposals did we receive?
7 proposals altogether.
All right.
You guys want to?
Why don't you do the honors?
You got the tools, you got the extrication tool.
You demand.
First one's from E1. Which is 2 packets. First one for E1 Cyclone 2 stainless steel pumper tanker. Bid price for Tuftonboro, New Hampshire, $600,000, 636,723, and optional 100% security prepayment discount, additional deduction of $15,500. And there's nothing in reference to engine 2, the current engine 2.
Okay.
So $15,000 discount for prepaying?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's
Which is what we would
that's
do.
where the security bond comes in,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. So $636,723 was that bond.
And that's for the pumper?
That is for the fire truck, yes, pumper tanker.
Thank you.
Next one is Tony.
What's that?
Next one is Toyne, T-O-Y-N-E. Milton, New Hampshire. Their price is $587,345.69 with a trade-in of 1998 International Central States Pumper truck, which is our engine 2, would be $577,345.69. This price is with a performance bond and 100% prepayment.
So they're offering $10,000 on the trade. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, that was torn. The next one is KME.
Literally KME.
KME.
Okay, thank you.
Can you spell that?
Figured more.
KME's proposal is $613,598.
No trade.
Don't see anything in reference to trade. Next one is from Alexis, Lake Region Fire Apparatus out of Tamworth. Those are the sales people. Proposal is $597,834. Includes performance bond. The trade for the 1998 is $17,000, which brings it to $580,834. And the sales when Von Davis is behind us.
Morning.
Good morning.
Next one is Rosenbauer, Rosenbauer. Looks like their price is $589,937. And prepay for chassis. The chassis they're saying is $281,406. You can deduct $11,257 from the total price.
So 578,680.
I believe so, yes.
No trade.
No trade. Next one is from Marion, Marion. Bid price is $656,900. $656,900. I see nothing in reference to a trade. And the last one is from Spartan, Spartan. Looks like $599,998. Nothing in reference to trail. That was the 7th.
Did you say some were missing, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. As far as the minutes, did you say some were missing part of the bid? Did you say one of them didn't have the whole,
As far
as far
as
as what you were offering, what you wanted an RFP on? Did you say some people couldn't provide?
I'm guessing you won't know all that
We
until you
won't-
go
we
through.
won't
Okay, I
know
might have
that.
I heard a
No.
comment and I wasn't sure if I
No,
misunderstood it.
we won't
Okay.
know that until we lay all 7 of them out, go through them, make sure that they meet height requirement, length requirement, whatever we were requiring, in the initial RFP, if they could meet that. Obviously, if the truck is too tall,
That's another
it's
Right,
our
right, I misunderstood that, sorry,
type
thank
of
you.
thing. But we will now take all 7 of the bids and go back with the truck committee and look through them, 100%, to go through them. Obviously, we have a certain amount, we have $580,000 that we have to work with, so in a lot of cases, some of the manufacturers are gonna be out right to begin with, because we don't have the money to meet what their bid prices are from what I can see. But we have to go through each and every one of them to make sure they're apples to apples before we make any decisions.
And you have 3 that are all within, within between $1,500 and $2,200. So you need to check the specs and
Yep.
see where they all come down.
See where they come out, so.
But it would seem, I'm sure you have a process, but the 636, 656 bids seem too expensive for us. I don't know how much time you want to spend reviewing them,
Right,
unless there's something missing from the other ones, I guess.
okay.
All of these require 100% prepayment, is that right?
They're all different as
Oh.
far as with what they're asking as far as it goes, from what I can see. A lot of them are, we did say as far as what it would be 100% prepayment. So
Well, that's in your RFP.
or that's what we're looking at, is asking for a performance bond, is paying for it upfront. Obviously,
doing
to
that.
get a better deal, paying for the whole thing.
And we're doing that lease purchase. So the leasing company would pay for it 100%.
Right.
Right.
But they require a performance bond in case something goes wrong with manufacturer, goes out of business or
Yeah.
along those lines. And that's what we've done with our last several trucks.
Well, it's, the good news is we had 7 proposals,
Correct.
right?
Instead,
So, instead of 2, for instance,
Right.
so got a good range out there. And I don't know a lot about fire apparatus, but I remember that some of these brands have a reputation for being the high price spread, if you will.
Right. And a few of the higher priced apparatus dealers obviously didn't bid.
Mhm. Right. So you've got a process to go through, which includes making sure that that all of the specs that you put in there are addressed, and then other things like overhead clearance, ground clearance, all those kind of things get involved. I remember that it takes about a year for one of these pieces of equipment to be built and delivered, correct? So,
We won't see that for some time,
Yep.
obviously.
yep, and 2 of the bids included a trade-in provision, which is good. So what do you see your timeline being in terms of being ready to move forward?
Well, I think that, obviously we need, I would probably say the end of this week, we would figure out, where we're at as far as different bids and all that stuff to go through. And we can get back to you at the next meeting. It's my understanding that there's going to be
First
the
Monday.
next 2.
First Monday in
Mondays.
June is our next board meeting, so you think you'll be ready to go by then?
We'll get ready for that.
Good. Lloyd, do you have any thoughts?
And obviously you can see that there's a variance of different prices as far as truck wise. And it is my understanding that prices for like chassis and things like that went up after we had initially.
And when,
Looked at prices.
in the past, have we always traded in, or have we had to sell on our
Well,
own?
we sold our last truck to Errol, New Hampshire. They were looking for a truck, and we got a reasonable price for that as far as it goes. I particularly would rather see the truck get traded in and, go away so that we didn't have to worry about trying to figure out where to sell it and be stuck with it for whatever length of time as far as storage and stuff like that.
It seems to me the downside of selling it is you can't do anything until the new apparatus is delivered. So you've got a long delay before you can, then you put it out, advertise your bids and see what you got. So today you might say, gee, I know such and such town that's interested in one, but 12 months from now, that's gonna be a different situation.
And you hope it stays in one piece
Yeah.
until then as far as body-wise and
Mhm.
functioning. Currently,
All right, maybe we should go ahead and go out of order, as long as you're at the table already,
Sure.
and deal with fire department report, and then we'll jump back to the other bid opening after that. All right, go ahead.
currently we've had 70 fire calls, 49 EMS calls, 6 service calls, 4 special details, for a total of 129 for the year. 5 gas furnace inspections, 5 oil burner inspections, 4 wood pellet stove inspections, and 5 life safety, total for 19 for the year. We've already covered the first for the 7 bid openings. Boat 1 is back in service for the season. The members of the department spent many hours cleaning, waxing, and minor repairs to the boat, which could be done in-house. That included sealing some leaks on the roof from the equipment that is up there, and replaced a cold water wash unit that had died, and they also bottom painted the boat that needed it drastically.
How old is the boat?
The boat is a 2008. The department receive yearly info about transports from Stewart's. This information does not include calls that Stewart stayed in quarters for or was not requested out on. Those are on the back page. Every year they give us a printout of the different responses. There was 168 transports, 345 responses, and there's a breakdown of where the patients went as far as hospitals.
So the 345 responses,
Yes.
what constitutes a response?
A response is anything that they would need to be at a scene for: motor vehicle accidents, structure fires, smoke in a building, CO calls, anything that might involve a patient as far as that goes. What they stay in quarters for are fire alarm activations, trees and wires down, and
Are
things
those
that...
included in the 345?
What's that?
That's-
No, we did 605 calls last year, so this is just them coming out
All right.
on the calls that they need to be there. That does not include the transports that we handled and the calls that we handled
Without
them.
that.
Part
How
of
was this compared to the prior year, or prior years?
I just received this, and I haven't looked at the prior year as far as, I don't know if we actually were given a complete breakdown. This is something fairly new. They were giving us, like a month by month last year, so I didn't really keep track of it that much, but this is a much better way of looking at everything. I can see if I can
One of the
get
results
that
of the change in
breakdown
ownership,
from
right?
last year. Yes.
Yeah, I would be interested in getting a sense for what the trends are here, if we're seeing similar numbers of responses, or up, they're down, or, from year to year, they may go up a little bit, go down a little bit, but we know that in general, our population is aging. And I think with aging population, it tends to translate into more EMS responses and probably more transports.
Basically, what we see a lot is that with the aging population, you have more EMS responses. Then some people pass away, obviously, as far as it goes, and then there's people that move in and take over, the next.
So when we get into the discussion with stewards, I'm sure we're gonna do that pretty soon, about the ambulance contract. They've had a 3-year contract, so if they can break these calls down on an annual basis, so we can see what effect having our own ambulances had on number of responses and transports. Because we need to start doing the math on cost per response and cost per transport.
The cost per transport is outside of the contract. I mean, that's a billed item,
Right.
so.
But if we're transporting, we're starting to generate numbers on how that's working out.
And I can we have money that is coming in now,
Right.
so I can give you a better understanding of that here shortly.
Under responses, that isn't just an ambulance sitting in the driveway. Some of they're doing sign-offs, or a family member transports someone,
Yeah, it's total as far as they might have done some rehab for us, They may be doing some sign-offs that we didn't do, motor vehicle accidents if there's whatever amount of patients, and, whatever is needed for them. Obviously, if we have a chimney fire, we have people up on the roof as far as firefighters and stuff like that. We have them there in case someone gets injured, and they're able to transport them there. On April 18th, Chief Thompson, firefighter paramedic Skip Galvin, and firefighter EMT Heather Bozer attended a 2-hour class at the New Hampshire Fire Academy on burn care for pediatric patients. This training was put on by Shriners Hospital. May 11th, the following members attended an all-day refresher training at the Central Station. This was ACLS, which is Advanced Cardiac Life Support, and PALS, Pediatric Advanced Life Support. Again, it was an all-day class. That was EMTA Captain Pike, Chief Thompson, firefighter paramedic Skip Galvin, firefighter EMTA Hannah Croto, paramedic Janet Williamson, and Deputy Chief paramedic Rob Cuneo from Freedom Fire Rescue, and Janet Williamson is from Huggins Hospital. One person that I neglected to put in was EMTA Butch Gagney with our department, and he's a firefighter with our department. Life safety inspections for the camps will start May 16th, which is Wednesday. We'll be going through each one of them as far as camp-wise. The first one that has asked us to come in is Camp Northwood.
So, on that point, and I was gonna do it in my selectmen's report, but I did have a chat with the camp director for William Lawrence this morning. And one of the things, there's the Marist case, which is going to the Supreme Court, which could go either way, is affecting the tax exempt status of Camp Marist.
Okay.
And so to be a little proactive, I mentioned to the camp director that we should be able to present them with it, what it costs us to have the camps in town, to justify some payments and low taxes. So when you're doing these camp inspections, if you wouldn't mind keeping track of your time and any materials that you use, so that at the end of the day, I'll be asking the police department and also the road agent. So we can speak with a little more authority. I'll bring it back to the board here, and we can make some decisions about how we're going to go. Thanks.
Do you have a copy of the Marist decision? If you want to get your copy.
I do not. I mean, it's not something that I really
It's
affects.
it's-
You're gonna put the fire out
Yeah,
anyway,
we're,
right?
we're gonna
right.
go put out the fires,
Right.
we're gonna do the medical calls.
right.
There's a time period that we go there for medical calls and things like that. The inspections are
and-
probably the biggest draw
Yeah.
for time on us.
And the tax status of a property doesn't affect
The emergency.
your
The emergency.
response when there's an emergency, so, yeah.
It is available online,
Yeah,
The Superior Court
the
decision.
decision,
yeah.
Yeah,
just Google it, it's,
there's no Supreme Court decision yet,
No,
but it's coming.
So we'll keep track of that and we'll
Yeah.
turn that in.
Thanks.
A reminder to townspeople, you are not bothering the members of the department if you have a fire or medical emergency during the night. We had, and please call
Sorry
911.
for calling. I'm having a heart attack.
Or the sheriff's office at 539-2261 if you need assistance. There was a fire at a residence that appeared to have started in the outside electrical outlet, with the fire spreading to the exterior wall and interior support beams. It began to spread to the interior of the home. I apologize, I forgot to bring the pictures that I had ready to give you for that, so when we brought those boxes in. The homeowner was alerted by smoke detectors that were checked, and a couple of them installed by Captain Pike last year in a home safety check. The resident held the fire at bay overnight, but could not completely extinguish it. It came into
War
the,
zone.
yeah, it came into the department as an outside fire, which was mostly extinguished, but with a lot of smoke. We had arriving units with the forestry and smaller equipment initially for a forestry response because it came in as an outside fire. We're backed up by engine 2 at the Mirror Lake Station. The deputy had picked that up and brought it to the scene. So you never know what you're actually going to have when you get there. You know, when you walk around the corner and the building's actually on fire, and it came in as an outside fire.
But your first step when you have something like that is to call 911 before you start
Yes.
fighting
Correct.
it, right?
In most cases, yes. Elderly gentleman, all he was thinking was that I need to, keep this under control.
Said he
put
was
it
too
out.
busy to call.
He was too busy to call. And
One hand for the phone.
but it does open your eyes when you come walking around the corner and you actually see that the house is on fire, obviously, instead of a small brush fire or something.
Good reason for a walk around.
He had a sleepless night.
But that's the way it happens.
Poor guy.
As far as that goes.
Glad to see my Scottish brother-in-law was in your report.
Forestry calls. Overall, obviously, it is kind of dry. We had banned Category 3 permits for some time, which is your outside brush burning, but we allow, and we actually banned after that, we actually banned Category 1s until the wind and stuff died down, and now we're back to Category 1s only until we get some rain type of thing. And Category 1 is no bigger than 2 feet around, and it's in an enclosed area as far as rocks and stuff like that. We have probably about 400 seasonal permits out, maybe a little bit more that get sent out every year to people, or people come in to get them. And they call into Carroll County Sheriff's Dispatch when they're gonna have the fire, and, they're told one way or another whether or not that we're allowing burning. That's the way we control that. But it seemed like that most everything was out by the time that people got there, so. Do you have any further questions or information that need to go over?
I'm good.
Great job.
Thank you.
Now, you have a performance evaluation that you're working on, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Have a great week,
Have a
guys.
great week.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I can go up once I go up parking lot if you want.
The bid opening for the front entrance. Do we have the proposals?
I don't have it again out front, so.
Should be in front of correspondence, and I think there's only one.
That should be simple.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we received one bid from Granite State Glass. And the bid is for $18,750.
What did we have in the budget?
Enough.
Okay.
Okay.
And that covers both
That-
sides.
that
That's the
covers-
front and the back, and an electric operator for one leaf on the front side. All demolition, everything should be included.
And the windows as well as the doors.
Yeah, yeah, they're all doors, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that does not include the power to it.
So we have
I've already
the
got,
wire.
I've already got a price to get power to it, and at the same time, I'm gonna have a receptacle put outside, so I can put a heat tape in the gutter on this side.
Okay.
And do we have any idea how long it'll take?
No,
So we're gonna be
well, they'll tear it all out.
out of business?
No, it'll be wide open, so people might have to use the back, or, you know, I'll try to get them to do, hopefully, the front side maybe on a Thursday, because that's the least active day here.
Yeah. All right. My guess is it's not gonna take them a long time once they start to demo it and do the replacements.
So should we entertain a motion to award, or do you wanna wait on that?
I'm all ready to go.
I think we ought to.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we award the bid
Okay.
for the doors.
I'll
to
second.
Granite State Line.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The door replacement is awarded to Granite State Glass. Do we have any public input?
Good morning.
Thank you
Good
for
morning.
waiting.
My name's Seamus O'Scally, and I own the property at 767 North Main Street that abuts Libby Park. Have the selectmen allowed a hiking trail to be created in the conserved land?
We have not acted on that.
Okay.
Right.
Well, someone has gone ahead and created a hiking trail through the conserved property. They've spray painted bright blue blazes on over a dozen trees, trimmed a great number of branches and removed them to the side of the trail and cut down trees. This was done illegally, without the permission of the town, who owns the land, and counter to the deed restrictions that prohibit doing so. I've brought a few pictures that show some of what's been done. I apologize for the poor color rendering with my printer. I encourage the selectmen to visit the site and see for themselves. It's a fairly short trail, you can probably do it in 10 minutes. Alternatively, my girlfriend Tina Irv has created a video of her walk through the trail, and I can share that email with you. It's a YouTube video.
Can that be downloaded?
Uh,
In a matter of record?
Yeah, if you've got a
Karen, can that be done? Can,
That's fine. Yeah,
if
we
you've
can-
got an email address,
It's just selectmen, MEN, @tuftonborough.org.
my eyes aren't getting any better.
do you want these pictures back, or can they be
You
included
can
with
keep
it?
those. Select men at
Yep, tuftonborough.org.
Right. Okay. I've also got a copy of the deed, which you may have from last year, but just in case not. At this point, I can see a few potential courses of action for the selectmen. The first, and probably preferable, if possible, would be to find the person responsible for the vandalism and force them to pay to remove the spray paint and then close the trail until it returns to its natural state as required by the deed restrictions. The second option would be to do the same remediation at the expense of the Tufton Borough taxpayers. And the third option would be to do nothing and hope that the person responsible does not promote the trail to the public. The risk of not remediating the damage is that one of the over 20 property owners explicitly listed in that deed as having standing to sue to enforce the deed restrictions will do so. The town will lose the suit, and then taxpayers will be required to pay not only the town's legal fees, but also those of the plaintiff. Thank you for your time and consideration of this issue. I've got an explanatory paragraph for that deed, in case that would be helpful. I just find this unfortunate that someone's taken it on themselves to do this.
So, I'm sorry, what your name again, sir?
Seamus O'Scally?
And your property's in Tufton Road?
No, it's in Wolfboro. My property is the last property in Wolfboro and abuts the conserved land.
So it's, somebody's gotta tell him. Shall I tell him that he doesn't have standing here in Tufton Borough? Yeah, I appreciate your advice and your comments, but you don't have any standing before us because you're a resident of Wolfboro or your property's in Wolfboro. So I know that Chairman Marcuson was gonna go out and walk the property with the Conservation Commission at some point.
Yep, as a matter of fact, we're doing that tomorrow morning.
Well, let's see, it's been
Yeah,
done.
so we'll see what's going on there. So I appreciate your bringing this situation to our attention.
Yeah, I find this outrageous. I mean, there's a process for doing this legally, and someone's just decided to go ahead and
Well,
ignore
part of the
that.
property's in Wolfboro.
Yes, there's
So
a
I don't-
triangle that's in
I don't know
Wolfboro.
if that, have you been to Wolfboro to ask them what?
That's my next stop.
Okay, so,
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Who was it at? On 109? By the Libby?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
and I know Wolfboro
Seamus.
said, go ahead and put a sign up.
Yep.
Excuse me, when you say there's a triangle in Wolfboro, is that included in what was affected?
I don't know,
Oh, you don't
no
know,
idea.
from what he said?
So,
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay.
We haven't. We'll know soon though, won't we?
Right.
Tomorrow.
yep.
I
Yeah,
mean, whether it's in Wolfboro or,
yeah. We'll,
Do you have a copy of that bid?
Huh?
Can I have a copy of that bid so I can
Yeah,
make a phone call and get
Yeah.
this thing started?
yes. Yes,
Just
you
to make
may.
sure they-
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts on it.
All right. Is Chief Shigori available? Thank you. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Good. All right. Bear with us and we'll be with you fairly shortly.
You can always get up and dance and sing while the silence.
I'll have to practice.
that just as we're sitting here, the landowners that he lists have no ownership interest in that property.
That's right.
And that the violation of the deed of trust, I suppose, is what he's talking about, but that's between probate and the selectmen. They can kind of be witnesses, but it just seems, you do give things up and let things go to the county.
Yep. Well, my understanding is that this was deeded to the town of Tuftonboro from the estate.
Yeah, everybody signed up.
Right. And,
So when I sell you my house, I don't get to come back to you 10 years later
No.
and say,
You painted it the wrong
I don't like
color.
the color of the paint.
right, right. And, so we'll see what.
Take a look at it.
What the situation is.
Report
Yep.
back to us.
Yep. We had this walk scheduled before I was aware there was any issue out there. Again, proceeding on the further request that a trail be developed as a walking trail through the property.
Well, it didn't make sense for you to go out when it's 3 feet of snow.
No, I was gonna do it in the fall and somehow that just didn't happen before the snow came in. But in terms of, you know, the restrictions and how they apply and can be interpreted, my thought is that's a situation that we have council take a look at and provide us with an opinion. And I mean, I have my opinion, but I'm not a legally trained mind.
And it's not that it isn't, it's not that it's the only case we're gonna have in front of us, where you have Steve Wingate wanting to put a conservation easement on the Cow Island property. I mean,
Yeah.
public property should be for public benefit.
Yes.
Right.
And so,
There's a balance.
yeah, there's a balance, but there needs to be, we're not protecting the.
Could I make a suggestion that we go a little bit out of order here?
Do nuts?
Is the chief on his way?
Yes.
Is that?
Long.
Hmm?
He just said 1 minute.
Okay. Let's.
We're okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially for the
All right.
chief.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not armed.
Let's go to review of minutes while we're waiting. First is work session on Friday, May 4th, which was the ride around with the road agent. So I didn't see any errors or omissions in the,
I didn't go on the ride, so
right,
I had a number of additions.
okay.
Please go to page 2, Eagle Mere Road. I made a comment on the record that there's been 2 instances where all of the owners have asked that that remain a dirt road, and that was omitted.
Okay. Probably because there wasn't any discussion about not having it be dirt.
Right. But the point is, I did discuss it.
Yeah, yeah.
2/3 of the way down Federal Corner Road, I think I spoke extensively and we rode over it. The upper portion is dirt and muddy and 2-way vehicles can't pass. And if I remember correctly, Jim talked about a similar situation in Canyon Valley where he made it so a snowplow and a vehicle could pass each other, and he showed us the stonework and the road widening. I don't know how that.
So you want to widen the dirt portion?
I want Federal Corner Road brought up to standards. I've said that from day one. Page 3. Chandler Road. It's, the comment I made is similar to Woodland Drive. I agree with Jim that should be part of Shirley Way. It's that entire complex. Other than that, very comprehensive.
And is Chandler Road ready for pavement?
It's paved now, but
Okay.
Chandler Road is the straight section,
Right,
and then it turns into Shirley Way, and then
So-
Woodland is a slab off it, so.
okay, I got it.
But it's all part of the same complex.
So I thought Chandler went all the way out to the old farm.
Not paved.
An unimproved section does.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's, not only is it not unimproved, I don't think it's not passable by vehicle.
Exactly.
It's
I-
basically a trail. Yep,
If there's nothing else, I'll move that they be accepted as amended.
and I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I'll abstain.
yep. All right. Next, we have Monday, May 7th, regular selectmen's meeting.
I don't have anything.
Page 1,
Yep.
under auctioneer services for sale of town property. 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line down. Sales are based on buyer's premiums and no fees would be incurred, I think is the word you were looking for.
Oh, incurred by the town, yeah.
Right, not endured, although payments are unendurable sometimes.
Good catch.
Okay,
All right.
I'll make a motion to accept as edited.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Monday, May 7th, non-public.
I have nothing.
I'll move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Friday, May 11th, work session.
I have nothing.
I'll move acceptance as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Friday, May 11th, non-public.
I have nothing.
I'll move acceptance as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That was quick, son.
Yep. Try and move along. Doesn't always work out that way, but Chief Shigori, come on down.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Jeez.
So motor vehicle stops are about the same as last year. They're up, I think they're a little bit, up a little bit this month. Accidents down, felonies slightly up. Offenses are up, incidents are about the same. We had, April 20th was a meeting with the camps, reference emergency plans, which I know we talked about last month.
And I mentioned to the fire chief that I wanted him to keep track of his time and expenses on those inspections with the camps,
Okay.
because we're trying to establish some basis for low taxes.
Yeah, it was like a 2-hour meeting, kind of talking, 2 or 3 hour meeting,
Yeah.
that talked about emergency plans as far as active shooter, what to expect.
I don't really expect you to put a dollar figure on it as
Yeah.
much as a time figure.
Okay.
In general, what we're trying to do is quantify services that are provided to these nonprofits.
Okay.
I mean, they bring a benefit to the town by being here, but they also require some services, and as Selectmen always said, it's not that we're trying to hit them over the head with dollars, but to be able to have a conversation that's balanced about the situation.
Right.
Pilot.
Well,
Yeah.
depending on how the Maris suit plays out in the Supreme Court, I think we need to be proactive about our relationship with the camps versus pilot. And have some correlation to what services are provided. And also some correlation as to, taxes. Not that it's gonna be taxable, but that it has some relationship to the value that they're receiving.
We did the drug take back on the 28th. It turned out it was 19.9 pounds, which was down from 2017. 2017, for some reason, we had two boxes, but this is about a little over what we had in 2016. And I know I turned in to Karen Friday a whole list of the whole breakdowns. It kind of record nationwide and for the state for how much has been destroyed.
Well, I know personally, because Wolfboro has a drop box and Moltboro has a drop box, that what I tend to do is, as I'm headed that way, if I've got some old stuff, just drop it off as I'm passing by, and then then it's gone. So I'm hopeful that other people will take advantage of that as well, rather than accumulating. The drug take-back day is a great thing, but rather than just kind of letting it all build up, you can deal with it on an ongoing basis. That's a better situation.
Yeah, it's, and I think that plays into, I think some of the towns, I think that's when they take their stuff from their boxes,
Right.
put it into the take-back thing, because it's a simplified method of getting rid of it
Mm-hmm.
and less costly. That's where the activity's at, and
Anything on parking for us?
I do,
Good.
did have so I made some of the changes. I put in like the locations. One thing that came up when I was looking at it, there's one place for the page 4, I guess would be the example to look at, line 6. It's, and what I put in yellow, because sometimes we had without written permission the Board of Selectmen or designate, and sometimes it said without, unless written permission is previously granted. And I wasn't sure which way to go with that. I think I know why. This is trailers, leaving trailers, versus the others would be, but I just didn't know which way you wanted to go with the previously granted or not. It's tough for the previously granted if somebody breaks down though, you know what I mean? Because you can't, it's tough.
But they're gonna be registered if they break down.
Right,
I mean, my reading of this is if it's.
okay, right.
Has a valid registration, then they don't need our permission.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that I had that right, because I almost started going without previously granted into all the other locations. And then I went, maybe not, maybe that's not, but
I
I think
have
we
no
got the right.
problem eliminating the word previously.
No, I think Selectmen
Granted is
Almy,
granted, but
I think Selectmen Almy hit the nail on the head. This is about unregistered ones
Mhm.
versus other times.
Right.
But that was something I picked up, that I wanted to clarify. I did do, so I went down Union Wharf Road. If we do 300 feet from 109,
what number?
find that.
What line?
Be on page 4, 38, 39. No vehicle may park along either side of Union Wharf Road within 300 feet of the intersection of 109A. That puts it about 80, 90 feet this side of the already no parking sign. So it takes that area, it's still a straightaway, but it's not as far as Bellemure's. If you go to Bellemure's, you'd probably be about 600 feet. So,
Well,
you know,
I have no problem with 300 feet. If it becomes an issue, we can always revisit it, can't we?
yep.
Or if the neighbors complain or something.
Well, in that first 300 feet, is narrow and congested right there.
Right.
Right, and plus it's an area that people are most likely gonna wanna park in to access, and it blocks the road.
Yeah.
So beyond that, right, so beyond that, it widens out a little bit, and it strikes me that maybe it's far enough away that people will not view that as a great place to park anyway.
So it's about 80, 90 feet this side of that sign, someplace in that range.
So you've got a hill right there, though, so. I don't
That's the
know.
only thought I had
You're
about it.
cresting that hill and all of a sudden.
It's
finding
it's still below the hill though, like about 150 feet below the hill, before the crest of that hill. To clear the crest of the hill and make sure nobody's parked from the crest to there, you're talking probably about 600 feet. That's the thing. But I thought by doing it there, if someone were to park beyond that, there wouldn't be a hindrance to the hill. It's right by the house that has the garage right by the
Yeah,
road there.
not a lot of parking there anyway.
No, there isn't. Well, that's, by that no parking sign, it does flatten out a little bit right there. That's about the only spot.
Yeah, so I like your suggestion, which is you can go with 300 feet. If it becomes an issue, that's something that can be revisited
I'm
and
sure there's gonna
adjusted.
be one or two things that future boards will wanna find.
And I did separate out so I moved the order a little bit, because that's the only one that's prohibited. The others are time limit type things, I think. So that's why I separated on page 5, 1 and 2 for the penalty.
Yeah.
I said $100 for that one.
So basically, if you park outside of hours in an
It's
area
$50.
that's designated for parking, it's a $50 ticket. If you park in a prohibited area, it's a $100 ticket.
Yes.
That makes sense to me. I mean, it's, there's a reason that we don't allow parking in those areas where there's no parking.
Right.
And parking outside the normal areas in a regular parking area is, it doesn't have the same impact as parking where it's not permitted at all.
So I also split out, so when I looked at, we talked about having other parking areas listed. And I looked at what was G, which was on page 3, sorry, line 9. It said other water access and it included, so there was one sentence, then the sentence went into the parking, so I split it out, G and H, other water access, other parking areas. That was one of the suggestions, to have something about all the parking areas, put that there.
Okay.
So, on 20 Mile Bay, the parking across the street, is that town parking
I think that'd be State Road.
on the south side?
You mean in the parking lot?
The
No.
south end of 20 Mile Bay?
On the opposite side of the road from the
Yeah,
waterfront.
that'd be the state
That's
exit.
state.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking in the past, you've said as long as they're off the pavement, you don't
Yeah.
have an issue with them.
Yeah, that has not been a real problem down there that I'm aware of, but that'd be the state to
Okay.
sign that up.
Right.
I did look at Mirror Lake Boat Launch. I did not really touch that because it's, I did take the time limit out, so we had like 15 minutes or half hour. I looked at that, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know where the parking is, because with the ramp there, you know, there's not a lot of space around it anymore.
There really isn't any parking there.
It's kind
Yeah.
of self-limiting.
Yeah,
Yeah, the other day I noticed somebody parked parallel to the road up to the left as you look toward the water. And I think it was either yesterday or Saturday when I went by, somebody was parked just parallel to the ramp off to one side in the area that had wood chips on it now. So, but there's not, it's always been an issue at that launch point. And it isn't any better than it used to be.
right.
But
I removed the time limit that I had in there before, like half an hour or whatever it was I had. I think I took that out, but it still was scratching my head looking at it. You know, I be honest, I typically go
Well-
109A, so I don't, I went by it a few times, didn't even pay attention. Somebody mentioned the new ramp was on, I went and looked, I said, well, there's really not a lot of parking there anyways.
Right.
But I don't think you can have your second sentence and not have it be totally confusing. So, no vehicles or trailers are to be parked on town property between the hours of 10 PM and 6 AM. Adding that to the Mirror Lake boat launch part just makes me think, well, I guess from 6:01 AM until 9:59 PM, I'm good to go, park there. So wouldn't we be better off with, there's no vehicle parking at the Mirror Lake boat launch?
Well, that's what we talked about before, of how do we word that, because we talked about, is the Piper lot available, how do we, I wasn't sure how to. The other thought I had was adding language like here and at each of the boat launches, saying that you can't park in such a way that it,
I mean, I just end it where you ended it, of saying, the Mirror Lake boat launch is intended for public access to launch boats. It is a small area and is not intended for
parking,
long-term parking.
long-term parking or
Or
parking.
parking. I just,
Okay,
I don't know what else we can do. We haven't looked at the Piper piece.
right.
We
Yep.
haven't talked to the church. I mean, it's really not up to us to find parking for people if there's not enough space.
Right. That's fine with me, I just
Bring
want
two
to,
cars.
Yeah, if you eliminate that second sentence there, it gets covered under the other parking anyway.
Yes.
So,
I have no problem.
yeah.
okay, that's, so it'll be intended for parking. The other thing I thought about was adding a sentence to this one,
Which one?
this sentence here. All the boat launch areas that you can't park, it's blocking or hindering the boat launch,
Right.
something like that.
Can't just launch your boat and leave your trailer in the water right there.
Or
and go
just,
boating.
or park in such a way that you're halfway on it or something.
Has that been a problem in the past?
No,
So,
I don't know if we need to
I
either, that's the other
think,
part of it.
I think let's just,
Every time we started, we had a little bit of a problem last year, somebody parked, it'd be difficult, because they wanted to park along the fence down at Union Wharf, and there's no parking, there were
Right.
ones, he was like complaining about it, so he went and he parked on the other side at the entrance, it's
Mhm.
like, that earned him some,
A conversation.
yeah.
right,
You complain about the other people, you can't park there, you could have parked up there, but you parked, because when he parked on the other side by the rocks, it was in line with the ramp. Even though he wasn't at the ramp, he was out by the road,
Mhm.
people can line up with their trailers. But, yeah, okay, I'll take that sentence out.
which sentence are we?
That one about the Mirror Lake, long-term, and then no,
Yes, right,
and I'll take the
Right.
next second sentence out of there. And I made sure I took the hours, because we talked about this, I think I found a few spots where I had taken the hours and moved them over. You know, because you want them under each one of the subsections between the parking spaces, so I think I got them all where they needed to be.
I had a related question I was going to ask you. Just so the board doesn't do what we did with the library, assumed, and something slipped through the cracks, is there a way for you to find which RSA allows us to have a hearing? And there's gotta be an RSA that states
I will
that
work on
we
it.
can go to town meeting and
Yep.
put it on, or we go here. Just give me peace of mind and
Yep,
allow us to rehabilitate our vigilance.
I'll do that.
yeah.
I'll get that and I'll make those corrections, I'll take the highlighted sections off.
All right.
A lot of work on this, but thank you, you're very good at it.
And I'm gonna suggest the next step before we go to public hearing is that we send it to the town attorney for review and comment. And you know, then we'll address any cleanups from that, be ready for the hearing. But yeah, I agree.
Well, I like your idea, but I also want to get this, we're into the summer season pretty quick, and
Right. That's right,
So you'll
so,
need a public hearing.
I'm sorry?
So, yeah, you'll need the public hearing over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So can you get a cleaned up copy of this to Karen?
That'll take you like 5 minutes.
Okay, well, whatever. And then Karen, you can get it
Starting when I
over.
get back over there and get logged in.
Yep, you can get this over to Rick
Sure.
to have him review and comment on it. Okay, great. Yes, sir.
I have some positive comments to head his direction.
Yep.
3 things I want to compliment you and your department on. And when I have the public come to me and complain about something, I speak up, but I want to make sure I'm equal opportunity. First of all, drug collections. Thank you. It's positive. The community likes it. Number 2 is the radar trailer in Melvin.
When I fix the speed
Many comments. Thank you. The other thing is the increased patrol time, even yourself out there slowing the speeders down. Thank you. That's a good job. I spoke to you about 2 signs. Remember, no parking across from John Sim's house,
Yes,
and the one that's upside down here.
yep, I got it, I still have to reach out to,
Yeah, you have the phone numbers. How are your computers doing? Everything up to speed?
seems to be, yeah, it's
Okay.
helped having the newer,
I wanted to make sure we could do anything to help you.
so having the new server has helped speed things up. I'm not sure if we've done 100% of the, I'm gonna check with, Tom to see if the IMC got transferred. That may not have yet, because there was a question of licensing on that, whether I had to pay 100, 300,
Well, you certainly
whatever money
have
was.
had the patience of Job, and I take the point of view when those tools aren't working, it impacts your job and your safety, so.
But it's also seemed to help with the speed issues I was seeing on my own terminal, if you will.
Yeah.
Not terminal
Yeah.
anymore, but you know what I mean. My workstation is
You're-
proper terminal, so it seemed to help with that.
And did you have in your budget a new speed sign?
Yes, and I was working on getting the prices on that, and so I had the prices and quotes, and one of them expired April 30th, and there was no meeting for me to get it. So I am going to, because that was also the cheapest one.
Yes.
So, and it was actually a good product, it looked like too. So I'm going to be reaching out to them to say, we're ready to go with this, I just need to know what your real number is.
Is there anything the selectmen can do to
At this
help you?
point, like I said, I got 4 prices.
The other thing is we're headed into summertime
Yeah.
and whatever like that, so.
It was a, I think would have met all the needs without requiring us, the software was free, some of the others had, well, their price was, but you had a cloud base, and you had software subscription, they expected you to kind of continue on. This one was standalone, it's free software, seemed to be a good system, it just needed to be, the price ran out on the 30th, and I was like,
I'll speak for myself. I don't insist on the cheapest one if it means more services and the people who service it are 3 states away or whatnot, so I have no problem with you making it a balancing.
Well, no, I will definitely look at that, especially if there's an ongoing cost with a software subscription that I don't want necessarily or need. Likewise, some of these had bells and whistles that we can't use in New Hampshire. For example, a camera, can't use a camera. So I was going, one of them said you just shut it off. I'm thinking, why am I paying for it in the first place?
Well, the other thing is if you have it and you shut it off, all right, what does it take to turn it on? And it's just easier not to have it and then have somebody say, oh yeah, you got one of those things. We know you're secretly recording all this stuff.
But if
So.
something goes wrong, it starts recording.
Chief, do you think you will have that? We next meet on the 4th of June. Can you have that so that we're ready to order it?
Yes, I'll have
Which is 3 weeks from
it.
now. Okay, perfect. Good. Anything else we can do for you?
Nope.
And you have an employee evaluation you're working on,
Yes,
correct?
it's in process. We've been, we have some had a couple of cases that were time consuming. One was a bunch of signs, but now we have to track the owners of the signs, see if they're stolen or not stolen. And another one, we have a rape case that previously we discussed a little bit. It's ongoing and growing. More victims are coming up. The state has taken over because that victim's out of the county quite a ways, so
That's what happens with serious cases, that they expand it exponentially, and you have to be focused on your case.
and the, you know, and some of these, like the 2 arrests on there for simple assault, that actually happened. I think it was January, February that happened, but there were so many people involved to track down and get interviews and re-interview after they said,
So this was the same event, those 2 people that are on your list?
they were separated by a few hours, but they were related. Same people involved in both, kind of.
It's never easy, is it?
You're talking about the arrests?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were separated by several hours, but one event kind of preceded the other one.
There's a nexus.
Yeah, and so some of the same people had to be tracked down and their stories had to be, okay, they said you saw, oh, okay, we had to go back to them, get more information.
Round them all up, cattle car.
All right,
All right, thank you, chief.
Thanks again.
and we had, I don't know if you saw, I put something in there about safe stop, there was a letter from the school.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So we did that, that was the first, so I didn't put it in my report, but that was something that came up that I was supposed to be down there for that, but then Sergeant Hathcock was sick, so I stayed here to cover it here and did it. So anyway, we made a bunch of stops on that, and I think felt it was a success. It was originally supposed to be 10 towns, then it turned to 18, and it eventually turned to 21 towns, and next year they hope to move it to the statewide.
How many, if I recall correctly, the purpose is to target and eliminate these drive-arounds on stop school buses, right?
Yes.
And apparently we have had those incidents in the town of Tufton.
Quite a few years ago, we had a young man that's hit, he's now in his like 30s now.
Okay, but I'm,
But supposedly recently, we've had some along the Route 109 route from Tufton Neck to Melvin Village. So we focused on that, but we also, because we were here, state police and the county were here, we're stopping other cars too for other things. But we didn't have anybody for going past the school bus, but we did get somebody from, that blew the stop sign at the school while we're waiting for the school bus to go on the next route. So, anyway.
It's a parents, it's a presence.
So, I didn't see, I got the stats from the program, I didn't see a whole lot for going by, maybe because, well, most departments did like us with marked cruisers sitting nearby.
Yep.
Some places did
unmarked.
Yep.
unmarked at stops that there's been a traditional problem, but we just heard it was along the route, so we just kind of followed along. So,
Okay.
certain spots we sat and just kind of showed the flag, but.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Gentlemen, come on up.
Welcome back. I'm Lloyd Wood.
I'm Jim.
Have a seat.
Bill.
The younger brother.
Thank you for being patient.
Oh, that was interesting. We're parked down by the boat launch, is that okay?
Yes, no.
$100?
That's right, that's right. As long as you're not in the no parking zone, you're fine.
Sir, I like your sense of humor.
If you park down there, there'll be a walk coming up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, subsequent to our meeting last Monday, we met in a work session and decided that we wanted your company to offer these tax deeded properties at auction.
That's a good thing for us, and a good thing for you.
Yeah, that's what we hope. And we have 8 properties on the list. And I believe Karen sent you copies of the assessment cards.
She did.
On all of them. All right, so where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? We'd like to get out and look at the properties this week, tomorrow or Wednesday. So we'd like to leave here today with some copies of the tax maps as well, if we can, just to try to track these down.
Yep.
And then meet again if we can to chat about the properties, give you our thoughts as to, what we perceive, auction value to be. I mean, we usually get pretty close, but, sometimes it's a guessing game. And then,
Is there a percentage evaluation that generally happens?
it depends on the
10%,
county.
20%?
When I provided the spreadsheet, it gives a breakdown. I mean, Rochester on Saturday, here's a prime example, they were hoping that they got to $100,000 because they thought that, the stuff, it was a mix of mobile homes and tear down homes and whatnot. Well, we were over $200,000, so they were thrilled. The market's just, I mean,
And what was the gross property value that you took to auction?
I want to say it was somewhere, Chip, around 3, maybe 3.25 of assessed value.
So 325,000 or
Yeah.
3.25 million?
No, 325,000.
So you get
About
two-thirds,
60%?
60%, yeah.
And that's in Rochester.
Yeah.
On that note, I went through these 8 properties and I have the acreage. There's only one with a building. And I came up with 317,500 is what's on the tax card that they're assessed for.
Of assessed value?
Yes.
There's
You
only
didn't
one.
include the building?
What?
Because including the building, I'm at 398,000.
Right. I did not include the building because I didn't think it was.
Is it a tear down?
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
That's definite. Tear down.
We've already removed
There
4.
are enough shows on television that show you don't have to, I guess.
Right, right.
And,
Well, and actually,
and that property has driven us because we don't need someone to take a kid in there or some homeless
Right.
person or something like
With
that.
all the liability.
Yes.
although I think, didn't Jackie say the other day that somebody had expressed interest in fixing that house up?
Yes.
So, yeah,
There's
historic.
always one.
Yeah, that's right.
The person said it had memories.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
And you've got some active, I talked to 3 different people over the weekend who are interested in different lots. So we're local to the area.
Yeah.
Okay. Or a butters.
Yeah, several of the lots that we're aware of that abutters are, would be interested in.
Yeah. One of
And,
them was in,
huh? What's
Tim
that?
Christian was in.
Yes, he was, yeah.
Each was a
Yeah.
friend.
And, so,
What we found in Rochester is interesting. The bulk of the bidders were within 2 miles of the areas that we were selling properties.
Mhm.
So it's very, very local. We had a couple investors, but
I'll say 2, out of the 8 properties, I think probably 2 investors bought.
mhm.
They get to a level and then, it's like.
So if you
forget.
live more than 2 miles away, you're an investor.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like more than 2
One was
miles
from
away.
Manchester, one was from Epping, actually.
yeah.
So we need to put the sealed bid question before you, and hopefully this will put it to bed. But I don't think we can
Yeah,
go
I think
down
as
to-
we discussed before, there's a persistent undercurrent with a few individuals in town that want to have a sealed bid opportunity. So however you do that, I mean, we can obviously make the provision that sealed bids are accepted. On an auction, do you open the sealed bids?
We were
before-
discussing that coming up here.
Before you,
Let us give you our history with it.
Yes.
What typically happens is, there's a whole group of people that want sealed bids, usually. Typically, it's the abutter, or it's somebody, can't blame them, that wants to get the property cheaper. They don't want to go through the forum of being pitted in competition. They don't want to do it because they know the price is going to get driven up. It's happened numerous times in past years. We haven't done it in a while because everybody's found that we've worked with that it's just, the numbers are better at a live auction when you can
Well,
get everybody together.
that's our opinion also, that's why we're
That
going
being
route.
said, more than happy to do it. We need to decide what the rules are gonna be. I mean, these people looking, I mean, usually the excuse is they can't make it to the auction, so they wanna have the opportunity to submit a sealed bid. Fine. Typically what has happened in the past, people will submit sealed bids, we'll take them to the sale, and then they'll show up at the auction that they couldn't, you know, they couldn't be there, and all of a sudden they are there. So we choose to either open the sealed bids before we begin the bidding process, or after. It can go either way.
Yeah, the only problem, I mean, you can see it being a problem either way, but let's say a sealed bid comes in at $5,000. Do we have to set some kind of next bid limit? Because if I can buy the property for $5,001 and the sealed bid loses out by $1, I mean, that might create its own set of problems. So that's one part of it. I think the sealed bid can start the base for the auction. Do you do online at all?
We could. I mean, we have in the past.
Okay.
How many auctions in the last year have you done where there's a hybrid sealed bid and?
No, I don't think we've done it in about 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
I'd have to look at our records, but it's been a while. I think it was in the western part of the state they did it.
And in that one there, did you open the bids at the beginning of
At the end.
at the end?
Well,
I like the
well,
idea at the end.
We were going to do it at the end till the 2 bidders showed up. And then, so you basically, when you hear the bid, you know,
Well,
you may get it cheaper.
yeah, yeah.
Or
And
you may
it-
not be limited by the bid you made.
Right.
Mhm.
So we need to establish the rules of the sealed, we call it absentee bidding, basically.
Right.
You know, a sealed absentee bid.
Mhm.
Typically, they're gonna abide by the same rules, whether the deposit's 1,000, 2,500, or 5,000 for that piece. That money's gotta be in here.
And there's no case law or RSA that says it's unfair to do it one way, you gotta do it the other way?
No. Not in the auction years.
Well, it seems to me that opening the absentee bids last presents for the person that provides a sealed bid, a situation that's most like a sealed bid event. Because when you open those bids, after you've gotten to the high price at the end, then if those bids are all lower, it goes to the high bidder. If one of the sealed bids is higher, then that's where it ends. But once it's open, if you're gonna treat it fairly, you can't then reopen the bidding and say, okay, so this sealed bid is $500 higher than what you bid. Where do you go? So
It's a tough call,
it is.
you know, and there's 2 schools of thought. I mean, you either establish the base by opening the sealed bid and allow people to bid above it, or, you know, you leave it as a sealed bid, and then, you know, you get up to 10 grand, you say, okay, now we're gonna open the sealed bids. You get 5, you get 6, and you get 7,000. Not high enough.
I'm comfortable with doing it at the end of the open bid, but that's just me personally.
But if you open them at the end, I don't think you can reopen the bidding at that point,
No, that's
Oh, I
my
agree.
understanding.
right?
Yeah.
And then, so then we're obligated to collect the money, obviously, because or are you gonna?
I think part of the terms and conditions of the seal, of the sale and the sealed bid process should be the sealed bidders, you know, have to adhere to those terms and conditions. We'll establish what these deposits are gonna be for each piece. You know, with you, we'll come to a consensus, and, you know, some might be, Rochester was all over, some were 500, some were 1,000, I think, and some were 5,000, depending on assessed value of property, and what we perceive. We want earnest deposits that they're not gonna walk away from.
That either you guys hold them or we hold them.
Right. I would think that, you know, sealed bids would need to be in here or our office by 4 o'clock on the Friday before the Saturday we do the sale, with a certified check, a certified deposit. There's no deposit, I mean, you're not holding them to anything.
Right, exactly.
And then all our bidders are gone, and we're left putting this thing back together, and it's not good for anybody.
Now, if somebody does a sealed bid and comes to the sale, how you guys want to handle that. He starts bidding.
Well, I think before the bidding starts, I mean, you're looking at the crowd, if you can say, did anybody submit a sealed bid? And if you want to bid on this property, you're gonna have to revoke your sealed bid.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's the way to handle it.
You don't want two bites at the apple.
Yeah, you can't
That's an unfair
play both
thing.
sides of the saddle here.
That's what we're gonna try to do, I
Yeah.
guarantee.
Right,
So that's how we arrived at the sealed bid process, and we just were unsure as to why it's still an issue, but if there's people.
Come to town meeting once in a while.
It's okay.
yeah.
So we'll find out, I mean, then we'll have empirical evidence at the end of this auction, how this is gonna work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we may do it the same way again next time. Who knows?
Right.
I have a question. We don't meet for the next 2 Mondays.
That's correct.
And when's the first possible date that we could have a work session with these people to work it out? Because
Are you gone?
I'm going back on the, I leave Friday and I'm back probably late in the day on the 29th. So if you want to have a work session between now and Friday, if you want to go out there.
Do you think you'd have your stuff together by the 18th?
Oh, without a doubt.
Well, it'll have to
We're
be
gonna
by the
get out-
17th because I'm out of here first.
Could we
thing
do it
tomorrow.
Thursday?
Yeah. Yes,
I'm available Thursday.
Thursday's fine with me.
Yeah, 8:30.
Because we're into
I gotta
Sweden, New
get
Hampshire.
some work done. I can't be doing this stuff all day, every day.
exactly.
Are you working or you're just,
I'm working.
Yes, he is.
you're doing physical labor, but you're working on your own house, right?
Yeah. The capital improvements are doing my house,
All right,
just so you know.
can we meet at 8:30 on Thursday morning?
8:30 Thursday morning.
Would that work for you guys?
We're gonna make it work.
All right, and
Provided
I appreciate that, because we want to get the process going, get the auction done, and not drag it out. And it's beneficial to everybody to work on this.
We'll get the bulk of it done, at least we've got a few days in
Yep.
June to, because we're looking at the 6th, what day in June is?
There's the 9th and the 16th we have it. I mean, if we're off on the 9th now, it's gonna be tight.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think
Yep.
the 16th would be better anyway, because if we've got any other issues, we've got a couple of meetings.
Yep.
Right.
And we can solve all
Yep.
The 16th is a Saturday.
Yeah,
It's right at the midpoint of the month.
Yep.
that's good.
And that gives opportunity for the public to find out about it.
Yep. Yeah.
So if we could get the, we're gonna have to advertise the sealed bid, so we need to do that this week.
Okay. Do you advertise or do we?
As part of our display ad, it's gonna be in there, but if you need to do some
We
sort
probably
of.
need to put something in the paper if we're gonna do it.
Right, we're gonna meet on Thursday, so that's time, if we determine we need to have a grunt or ad, that's time to get it in next week's paper. So, yeah, I think
Well, you
that's,
people have your media that you deal with.
Mhm.
It's not
We
your
will put
first-
that in.
It's not your first rodeo.
No.
right. Right. Okay,
Anything else for us, because we have a bunch of questions.
shoot.
Sorry, Karen.
Okay, let's go.
So the sealed bid process, okay, we're gonna determine what the rules are. They'll have to sign a P&S, what else do we need? So if I can get, who's gonna be our contact, like point person for, like emailing and stuff?
Would be
Proofs of
Karen.
that? It would be Karen?
Mhm.
I can get tax maps today on all the properties?
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to do a little research in here too
Yep.
about who the abutters are and try to locate, so are they hard to find? Have
No,
No.
the
No.
board seen them all?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of them are just
there,
maps.
there is one lot that I'm aware of that's landlocked totally, and that's Beechwood Drive.
Okay.
It's off of 171, the Mountain Road,
I
on
think
the,
I'm in there,
on
yeah.
the north side of Lower Beach Pond, and it doesn't touch the lake. It's surrounded by a bunch of other lots, so.
Well, it must have some easement. 'cause
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a real.
Well,
Right.
Well,
the person who's interested in it is in a butter.
Yeah.
Yes,
Isn't there, is that the big piece?
Yes,
Yeah.
10 acres.
yeah,
Right,
right,
yeah, 10 plus acres.
right.
It's close to the lake, right?
Uh,
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. And the other ones are all right on
Roads.
roads,
Okay.
so.
Yeah,
How many people do you anticipate? How big a hall do you need?
Well, we usually figure 3 to 4 people per property, so probably 25 to 30 bidders, then another probably 15 or 20 tire kickers that wanna know what's going on in town.
do we supply the tires or?
You are the tire.
Hanging around.
So 50? somewhere around
50,
there?
50.
Yeah. Okay. It'd be nice to have electricity in the building, unlike Rochester.
Oh, really?
Bring your own generator.
Yeah, make it up. That was dropped on us on Friday.
Huh.
Oh, by the way, the building we use, we'll have a generator outside. Okay. It worked. Sun came out, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, what we had anticipated, I guess, and we talked about in the past, was holding the auction up at our townhouse, which is just right up at the top of the hill. It's got a room that certainly can accommodate 50 people.
Okay.
And it has electricity, running water,
Restroom?
flush toilets,
That's cool.
no air conditioning.
That's
But,
all right.
you know, that's, early in the morning on a Saturday, it shouldn't be a big issue anyway. Open the doors, windows, and
Okay.
there are ceiling fans to sort of circulate that.
I was just gonna add, you had mentioned a butter information. So
Yeah.
I've been through this process before, because we've been through this a couple years ago. We're going
Okay.
to do an auction and we didn't. So I have spreadsheets and things of the butters.
You can email us
Yeah.
copies of that, okay.
Yeah, and our tax maps are online, but we can also have make paper copies for you here in the office, so whatever you,
If we need them, okay.
yeah, whatever you prefer.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Probably rather read with the
yeah,
paper today,
give
I
them
think.
paper copies
Yeah.
because they're gonna be going from here, and you wanna go out and at least eyeball these properties while you're here today, right?
We might go see a couple, but we're gonna probably go tomorrow
Oh,
or
okay.
Wednesday morning and
Okay.
and do them all.
All right,
Photograph them.
yep.
Is there a sign in town that says, welcome to Topton Borough or something?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah, there are, on all the major roads coming into town, there are little white sign up on a post, so you're looking to get a.
Yeah,
something
for our
put up. Yeah,
PowerPoint
yep.
stuff. I know.
Granddaughter has an issue with our sign, settled in 17, whatever.
Yeah,
Well, there were people here before that. This happened.
yeah.
It's the difference between granted.
Yeah, it was
granted and
unsettled
settled.
before then, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. One question that we've had running around in our minds, with respect to deeding the properties, warranty deed, quitclaim deed, does it make any difference in terms of activity and participation in?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if you could supply a warranty deed. Typically, we see either a tax collector's deed, a deed without covenants, or a quitclaim deed. And that should be written into the agreement.
Right.
Which is the next thing we need to talk about. Who's gonna prepare that document? I don't know if you let town council do it, if you want me to send you multiple copies. I mean, there's no sense in recreating the wheel here. I've got
Right.
copies from every town we've done that have been written by, 4 or 5 different attorneys that you could take a peek at and, kind of.
I guess the question was that Bill was trying to get to is there more return if we can sell a warranty deed property?
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we can explore that option. We may not have time to do it, but
Mhm.
maybe a few of these that we can.
Yeah,
Sure, we need title insurance. You can give that.
Yeah, it's good money in title insurance. If you're a
Yes.
lawyer,
yeah.
City and town sales that we've done, the only warranty deeds we've seen is stuff like in Nashua, Jim, I think that they took for the expressway.
Yeah.
And they took stuff by eminent domain,
Yeah.
and they thought it was gonna be part of a project, and then they found out they didn't need it, so they surplus it,
Right.
had us sell it, and they issued warranty deeds, but I've never seen it on a tax deed piece.
Yeah,
Just the
from our-
return, it's just,
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
yeah.
then we have all the investors.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause you get a certain group of investors that won't buy a tax deed at sales just because, it takes a while.
We're aware that for several pieces of property here, abutters are interested in buying them. My guess is that a quitclaim deed is fine for an abutter. They know the property anyway, it's in the history and that sort of thing. For somebody that's not in the area that's looking to buy it, a warranty deed might,
And you look at this, like the two lots on Mountain Road, I mean, those are great building lots.
Mhm.
And you've got great access, good drainage, the whole thing, plus a view of the mountains. And that may, I don't know, we'll talk to the council.
Mhm.
What you can do.
I mean, Chip, are you guys prepared to tell us and the public what is a building lot? Or are we gonna sell raw land and let people come in and make their own determination as to
I think
what?
if it's a lot of record, it qualifies.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we have any
yeah.
Right,
say.
and then
There, there's only one parcel on here that I'm aware of that's one of the two on Union Wharf is,
The two on Union Wharf
One of
are
them's a
point
third of an
seven
acre,
five
right?
and point three
Yeah.
three. Everything
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
is 1, 2, 2, 7, 2, 6, 3, 0, 10.
But
Yeah,
even the one
but-
on
but the-
Union Wharf was created in a
Right.
larger subdivision.
Right.
Which has been
the one on,
built out.
on this side of Union Wharf is a building lot. The one on the other side, the 3/10 of an acre, it includes some wetland and that sort of thing, I think is not buildable. But everything else is buildable,
Wow,
absolutely.
with the exception of the third of an acre, okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll need to, so would you like me to send you some copies of those?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Okay. Memorandums of agreement, they call it. All right, what else do we have? General tax maps. Karen, is there any, like a town street map that you have?
I do
A
have.
large one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If we get a copy of that too, that'd be great. Signage, any problem with us putting auction signs on these pieces?
That was
No.
the question I was gonna ask.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Plus a sign here on the road with where the meeting place is.
Okay. Do we know the address of that meeting place?
Not off the
We
top of my
can get
head.
it.
Yeah.
All right.
Karen, do you remember what the townhouse address
I was
is?
just thinking if it was 221 or something.
That's our,
Oh, is it 247?
247
Thank you.
Middle Road. Ask the wrong person, of course.
Now, the landlocked piece, obviously, we can't put a sign, or the sign won't do anything if we put it on there.
Right.
That's probably the one that will sell the easiest.
Yeah, but there may be a place out by
He
the
owns all
road
around.
that you could,
Right.
out by Mountain Road, that you could put it, I don't know. Again, there is access to the property.
Somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there's Beechwood Drive, it's a named way.
Right,
Does that go up a lot?
goes off Mountain Road.
Can we get the corner there?
Yeah, yeah.
Or they can put it down right on Tibbetts Road.
Yeah.
That's where you go in Tibbetts Road, halfway between Water Village and Tufton Brook Corner.
Mhm.
Okay, so tentatively, we're gonna say the 16th, we're gonna put that on our calendar, and we'll confirm maybe this Thursday.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
By 10 o'clock, is that good? You guys up by then?
Oh, yes.
They're always ready to go.
Middle of the day,
Almost
almost dinner time.
8:30 with like access.
The cows are all milked.
Let's see. Okay, the closings. Who will do the closings, prepare the deeds? Those types of things. Town council or?
That's,
I think that's how we
Yeah.
gotta do it.
yep,
So at the sale, we'll sign the PNSs at the sale, retain the deposits. There's a good chance that, in Rochester, out of the 8 sales, 7 of them were cash. So we had like $13,000 in cash.
Do you need a police officer there?
No, but it,
Chief can have the day off.
Okay.
either we can take the deposits, the cash deposit, and send you one check on Monday morning for all the deposits, or if you've got a, say for somebody you wanna put the cash, that's something.
I have no problem with that, but
Okay.
we'll decide that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Saturday, I'm trying to do Friday.
That's an easy one. And then,
Personal checks, it'll come up at the day of sale.
Well, the
Some people
deposit's gonna
from,
be a
some people from
cashier's check,
town
right?
Mhm.
will
We like to
know
see
you
that.
guys, or one of you guys, and they'll want to pay.
Bill Brown's been living here for 45
Yep.
years, he owns half the town, and he knows everybody on the board and in
Just gonna
town.
write you a check.
Yeah, I wanna give you a personal check.
Yeah, for a deposit.
We're not gonna take it, but if, you know,
That's,
you guys are.
that's your call. Yeah.
I'm hesitant to take personal checks. Only takes one and it creates a snafu and hard feelings and all that.
You took
Yeah,
care of
yeah,
that.
You're,
I think-
well, you're gonna advertise that you need a deposit by cash or
Certified check.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it's, I think that's where we have to stand. I mean,
Okay.
the problem is, if we get somebody that shows up that's, that's part of the fabric of the town, that wants to write a personal check, and you say, yeah, then we get somebody else that comes in that
We don't
wants to
know.
write a personal check that maybe we don't know, but it just becomes very messy.
It's slippery. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it
And you
was
don't,
slippery
you're not
slope,
set
we
up to
wouldn't have
take
brought it
debit
up.
cards.
It always happens.
We can do that, I mean, we'll do it this weekend at the state auction, surplus property auction, I mean, if it's, you know, typically we advertise 4 weeks ahead of time, and it's on our site, it's in all our marketing materials, you know, certified check or cash day of sale.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing to preclude someone from, you know, calling a credit card company after they leave you with buyer's remorse and saying, you know,
Well, it's a little different with a debit card, because you're debiting their account and stuff,
Right.
so. Something. Anything else?
yes, the properties, are you gonna put minimums on these properties?
I don't think so.
I mean, if you advertise as an absolute auction,
They're gone.
I'll speak for myself, for a number of years now, I've been Larry the Cable Guy, get her done.
you know,
Or at least get half of them done, or
Well,
whatnot. That's not a
yeah.
criticism,
Yeah.
that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
3/4 of the towns and cities we do business with do it absolutely.
Yeah.
It brings more people, if you can advertise it, we can advertise it that way, put it on our marketing materials, it just, it rounds them all up.
Yeah.
They'll be here, if they know you're serious about selling these things, they'll show up. They'll show up anyways.
And how do you, how are the taxes handled? Okay, you're gonna sell in June, first tax bill comes out the end of June. Who's liable for that? The current owner, or do we put that in the
Yeah,
P&S?
You can write that into the P&S.
Okay, ready? Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we gotta just decide on the terms and conditions, we'll talk about the deposits after we look at the properties, but
Okay.
I would suggest 30 days to close from, you know, the date of sale. So that takes them into the middle of July.
So the first half of the tax season's waived.
Mhm.
I don't know how you can retroactively
Right.
charge taxes.
No, let's not try and squeeze too hard here. Let's get them sold and transferred and
Get them back on the tax roll.
back on the tax rolls.
With smiles on our faces.
Right, exactly.
So 8:30 Thursday? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And any questions you have at any point,
That's
go to
okay.
Karen.
Sorry,
And,
Karen.
'Cause we don't
she's
know
gonna
what-
coordinate all that for us.
Okay,
Good.
all right, so we send you copies of our marketing materials through Karen, and then we'll get an answer.
Yep.
Sure.
What is your
Good.
projected sale date?
I'm sorry?
The 16th of June.
Really? Okay.
That's, yeah, we're aiming for the 16th of June. I'm sorry I won't be here, but that's the date it's gonna work, so get her done.
Oh, and then we'll
We
need
don't have to
someone,
buy anything anyway.
No, I'm not planning to, I'm not planning to buy.
and we'll just need someone to be there to sign on behalf of the town, someone authorized to sign the pianist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gentlemen, travel safe. Great to see you all again. Thank you, Chip.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you for your service.
All right, see you on Thursday.
See you then.
Moving right along, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, that's good.
Yep, yep, that's good. Mr. Ledoux, come on down. How are you today?
So, I came in merely to say thank you because Karen's been uploading full videos. And so I just wanted to come in person and say thank you.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you, Karen. So I won't take up any more of your time.
All right. well,
That's it.
Thank thanks.
You're welcome.
Unless if you have any questions about technology, I'd be happy to help out, but
Okay.
that could be through email.
Great,
The only
all right.
question I have ever about technology is why. So,
Well, that's, I can't answer that.
Right.
Hey,
I would look at human history.
Thanks, Matt.
what do we got left? Signing?
Yeah, you got signature file? Okay. First up, we have
Right under our
a
assistant department.
letter of thanks to Carla
Problems, I
Hopkins
get called.
for her service on the budget committee.
I'll make a motion that we sign that.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Could you repeat that name?
Carla Lutens,
No.
Lootens.
A letter to Jeff Moody thanking him for his donated labor and other efforts at the Mirror Lake boat launch.
I'll make a motion that we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Got a notice of intent to cut timber for lot 41-3-16.
And the sticky tag is for what?
Says she would like an email to her afterwards.
Oh, yeah, it's just to myself, sorry. That's all I remember
Right.
after.
So,
Moved.
I'll move to sign.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Got a yield tax levy warrant for $2,401.79. And this is for, for 41-3-16.
I'll move we sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have an administrative abatement for timber tax. This is the one that we approved at the last meeting for
Right.
$49.24. So this is the paperwork that we're now signing. I don't know that we already moved it, we would have it, right?
Yeah.
So this is just signing.
Oh, sorry, Lloyd.
No problem.
Didn't read it before I signed it.
Yep. And next, we have a revised contract with Lakes Region Planning Commission for our paving assessment. And this includes the addition of the guardrail assessment and increases the total contract to $8,300. And as I recall, we had $10,000 in the budget for that. So
I'll move we sign it.
I'll second that with one question. When is the report due?
I don't know that it says in here when it is. What I recall from our meeting with him last week is that we're gonna have a final report on this in time to act in our budget season.
If I remember correctly, what they do is they give us a preliminary report and then a final one, because there's always a T that needs to be crossed or an I needs to
Aren't
be
they
dotted.
doing traffic cameras, so it's gonna take a little bit.
Yes.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry, did we,
We did.
Yes.
all right, did we approve it?
We
Yes.
did.
Okay. Sorry, I'm losing track here.
I just don't think you did a final call, that's all.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and this just required one signature. So, that if you will. And then finally, we have a list of students that are attending the Governor Wentworth School District and listed as resigning in Tuftonboro.
I've checked with Heather, I've checked with Sandy Libby, and that's as accurate. And if there are any questions, I'll be
And
following
this
up.
list includes 7 students that we believe may not live in the town of Tuftonboro,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
All right. So do I have a motion?
For what purpose do we need the list?
This is so we only pay for the students that are enrolled in school, and twice a year the school district goes through.
All right.
That's the process.
I'll move, we sign it?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, can I have a copy of that entire packet, Karen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are the questionable.
Yes. At $17,000 per kid, it's a significant investigation.
All right. Next, we go to Selectmen's update.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
I kind of have done it over the course of the meeting, with my meeting with Matt Crane from William Lawrence. And I think that there should be, I guess the language that we were trying to get to was a mutually acceptable agreement, which doesn't impact their tax exempt status. But, and I did mention that our assessor had sent us a query as well as a case study from Marist.
Yes.
So whether or not we're gonna get in the, this is, were the camps or are the camps completely assessed for cash value? Was it, or do they just do an estimate?
I'll have to ask the assessor.
Okay.
It's my understanding that the property and the buildings are assessed through the normal process, and then it's the 2 MS forms that they get status.
And the other thing that Nat brought up was he thinks that Northwood's finally coming around, that Greater Boston YMCA is thinking that tax, payment in lieu of taxes might be available, so we'll see what happens.
It seems to me that that's an appropriate direction for them to move, particularly as you look at court challenges that are going along. And as I recall from reading the Marist decision, again, I'm certainly not a legal mind, but the judge applied is it a 4-point
Yes.
test that came out of
It
a
was very
previous,
articulate.
it came out of a previous Supreme Court decision in terms of determining eligibility for tax exempt status, and one of those is benefit provided to the community. And Camp Marist is a camp apparently that is attended solely by paying campers coming from the 4 corners of the earth, but nobody from the local
Yeah, they did have some
area.
Effingham kids in there for a while.
They had an agreement where they would scholarship some local kids in, but they did away with that. So that's one of the tests that was applied. And another one was whether the money that was transferred out of the camp to the parent organization was for a specific service or benefit to the camp, or whether it was just sort of, you got this money, we're going to take it.
Income.
And anyway, there are a number of pieces there, and all of these, it would seem to me, all of these organizations want to be looking carefully at how what they do stacks up against
Right.
these tests out of the previous Supreme Court case.
And I think I mean, part of what the assessor wanted was to review the charitable, or the articles of operation or creation for these charities and any adjustments that have been made over the years. And that's not a job I think any of us are qualified to do.
That's
Right,
correct.
So
and-
all of a sudden, we're gonna rack up more legal fees,
Yep.
trying to figure out if
Well, Karen
it's
has
working.
requested from all of these camps updated information. Is that right, Karen?
Yep.
And once you get all of that, you're gonna give it to Ron and let him take a look at it, and I think we'll follow his lead from there. Because Rod works in a number of towns, so he's has a little broader perspective than just the town of Tuftonboro and experience as it relates to that. But clearly, if we need to have a legal mind involved and engaged with this process going forward, then we certainly want to do that.
I'm gonna try to get a hold of the agreement that's between a camp on Newfound Lake and the town of Hebron. The director of the camp's on the board with me at the Waldorf School.
Yep.
And we talked extensively about it, but it's an agreement that the town and the camp came to over,
Yep.
you know, covering a certain amount of costs. And I'll say it on the air here, if anybody's out there watching. I had the first and second grade from the Waldorf School, which is about 15 kids, over at my sugar house this spring, and I fed them lunch. That's just things, those are the things we do as citizens and as businesses for our community. So when a barbecue or whatever comes up in this discussions with the camps, that's just stuff they do. That is not part of the equation for tax, payment of low taxes, in my mind. I mean, if they want to throw a barbecue for the town employees, that's great. If they want to do something for whoever, whatever group in town, that's great. But that's just for a local citizen. We're talking about something completely different.
On that matter, I have two observations. First of all, I'm like you, native, and we're from a small town, and I've talked to 4 or 5 different camp directors and people, and I mean, not going to their business and seeking out, just over coffee, what do you think, Lloyd? And there's a spirit of cooperation there, there's no hard feelings, they're business people as well as camp people, and they understand where we're coming from, they understand where you're coming from. The other thing with Rod is, when was the last time we had a complaint about his style or his management ability or his recommendations? So I think we have the best of both worlds here, but we need to be vigilant.
Yeah, well, we're gonna need to do something before DRA comes down. I mean, if the Maris case goes completely against Maris, there's gonna be some movement from Concord directing us to do something.
Yes.
And if we can come up with a gentleman's agreement or a
Yep.
reasonable agreement beforehand, we're all better
Sure.
off.
Yeah.
Right on. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lloyd.
I had a couple of things, but before I begin, we went to the basic law of budgeting, and what a compliment. Tuftonboro, between CIP, Selectmen, and Budget Committee, Pat, had the biggest turnout there. And I
Ask the most questions.
Yes. I also want to take this opportunity, and I told you, Chip, I was going to say this. There were 2 or 3 things that Margaret Burns said, and you must have written her notes. Because, for example, on the revolving funds, and when the funds start to get exponentially high and whatever, you were right on. Please continue. That's an attaboy.
Thank you. You don't need to do that.
Yep. Next is, I got a phone call from Dave Wentworth Painting. It's in the correspondence, or do you want me to bring
Go
it
ahead.
up now?
Yep.
Dave Wentworth called me about the painting to be done. I explained to him the following. Item 1 is the painting of the Quonset building located at the transfer station. I asked him to include the repair of the leak that seems to be coming from the skylight. He will submit a written estimate. Item number 2 is the repair of the painting of the town highway buildings located at the town garages of Sodom, including some repairs. He will submit a written estimate. He already has asked us to put money aside, and we have money in the budget, but I want to make sure that's current. Item 3 is the staining of the Sodom Road Bridge. Again, we put some money aside. He has looked at that structure. He thinks that he would pressure wash it and stain it. He will examine it and report any repairs that need to be done, and he will submit a written estimate. I shared with him that the Board of Selectmen are trying to balance priorities with budget restraints. I also asked him to funnel his contact information and other requests through Karen and the front office. Tractor shed, Route 171. I had a conversation with Jack Parsons about the broken door at the old tractor shed located on 171. The door was broken by excessive snow conditions last winter. You know, it's not vandalism. I would work with Jack to locate a contractor to make and assist with repairs, get an estimate first. Each year, you know, I kind of take one project to do, and this year it's generators. I'd like the Board of Selectmen's permission to contact electrician Scott Thompson. He's expressed a willingness to offer his guidance on what do we do to get all of our buildings equipped with backup power. There are a lot of questions concerning our needs and what equipment improvements there are in the industry. I think it's appropriate to reasonably compensate him for his time and efforts. I also would like permission to see if there are any grants out there. What are the thoughts of the Board of Selectmen?
Well, I guess a couple of observations. We have discussed having automatic standby generators, for instance, in the 2 satellite fire stations.
Yes.
And also having some provision for emergency power up at the townhouse. I know that Adam had been sort of working on that.
Yes, he has been.
I'm not sure at this point what role Scott would. I mean, he's a potential bidder for doing work, correct?
Yes. Well, what I would respond to that is part of my presentation would be there's no quid pro quo here. When we decide to go with this project and what depth and what it is, he can be a potential bidder, but he isn't wired in.
Right.
Right. I'd be upfront about that.
Right.
Number 1. Number 2 is, as I investigate this, there's economy and scale to making sure that the hookup in each building, if they're the same, there may be economy, savings. For example, at the transfer station, could it be that there'd be a hookup in each building so they can close the doors down if the power goes out, so they can compact the generator, the compactors. And I don't know what that would take. I don't know what's phase 2 or phase 3. Up here at the townhouse, I don't know if it makes sense to have a standby generator with a hookup, and when it needs to be open, we wheel the generator out and put it there. I don't really know what he would recommend. The other thing is, I don't know if it makes sense to do 1 building a year or to get a grant and do all the buildings. I just want permission to go speak to an individual and offer him a few bucks.
I guess what I'm having, what you're suggesting is that we hire Scott to investigate this, as opposed to putting out an RFP saying, we want to provide standby power at the following facilities and present your proposal.
I can do that.
Yeah, that would probably be cleaner. And we could do them one at where's the money coming from this year?
Well, we don't have money in the budget this year to do it, so this is all preparatory
Right.
to, now, I say that, I do, I guess my gut feel with respect to the townhouse, and when we potentially need generator power available, is having a connection point and a transfer switch, and using portable is a perfectly acceptable approach up there, because the only time we really need standby power is on election day. So if, like last year in March, the power goes out, you've got the generator there, you plug it in.
Do we have a portable generator?
Yes,
Yes.
and we did have it up at the townhouse for election day in March, but there's no, the only way we could have used it is you set it outside and you run some portable stands with lights in, as opposed to,
Hardwiring it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Plug it
Well,
in.
having a way to plug it into the outside.
At the 2 satellite fire stations, they have exactly the same generator. And you go to the station, you start the generator up, wheel it outside, flip the switch, and that gives power to that building. And Adam made sure that he did the 2 fire stations at the same time, so it's identical equipment.
But we have a trailer mounted or truck mounted?
Yes, we have a trailer mount that Adam, it's the
So it's
portable.
really only
that-
the interconnect that we're looking at?
Yes,
So I guess my thought with respect to the townhouse is, depending upon what an interconnect
Right.
is, that may be something we find money to do this year.
We should.
And given that we have
2 elections.
2 elections before the end of the year, if we can get that work done this year, before September, then it makes sense to do it. Now, that strikes me as something that you could just get a price from Scott on, what it would cost to do that interconnect. And I don't think we're talking big money. I think it's something that, get a budget price from him, we can figure out we got the money to do it, get it done, and
Right.
move along. But with respect to the install
Yeah, I think we're
automatic.
looking at warrant articles when we start doing
Yes.
permanent generation.
yes.
Yep.
Well, the
So
other,
they're not huge, but we're talking a few $1,000s a piece, so.
Right.
So that to me, for those items would be maybe next year's,
the other thing is, I haven't investigated other than I went through my USDA notes with Ann Getchell. And when we were talking, if you remember, last year, I brought in my meeting with her. There were 2 towns that got a USDA grant to do exactly what we're talking about, and they did all their buildings like that. So, and I'm not headed one way or the other, but
Yep.
what I'll do is I'll proceed cautiously ahead without spending any dollars.
yeah.
Other than the interconnect. which
Yep,
we
and,
really should get it
yeah,
over.
if you can get Scott to give us a price on doing the interconnect up at the townhouse, that's something I think I would like to proceed on this year.
The one thing that I kind of like how the town has done it is we have 22 or 24 doors. And when the door people come in, it's 1 of 2 companies, that check it out. We have the air flow system at the Melbourne station. It's the same as the one at the town garage, and it makes sense to have the same infrastructure. And it's called ergonomics, so that's where I'm headed. But I didn't want to just blindly charge ahead, but what I'll do is move forward as you guys suggest.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Okay. I will just highlight what I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, which is that tomorrow morning, Steve Wingate and I had previously planned to go walk the Libby Park property, and we're going to do it in the morning and get a first-hand look at what's out there and what the opportunities are moving forward. All right, let's go to correspondence. Okay. Get the LRPC highway funding fact sheet. This is an updated sheet, I think, that you provided.
Yes, it is.
All right, and I'm not, are you looking for feedback on this at this
No,
point?
what I did is I made a copy for the Board of Selectmen, I made a copy for Budget Committee, and a copy for CIP. The last page of it does have some things that, that impact the town if we wanted to go with motor vehicle fees, stuff like that. So that was totally informational.
Okay. All right, tractor shed, over paving, generators. And then we have the draft beneficiary mitigation plan from the state, New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. I know this is something you were going to look at in more detail, and I don't know if this is.
If anybody's interested, there's a meeting coming up.
And that's a brownfields program? Is that what that is?
It has a little synopsis there.
This is the, this has to do with the monies from the Volkswagen diesel settlement and how the state is planning to expend those.
And there is a grant available for us to replace a diesel truck.
Yeah, we applied for and received and then and were awarded, but chose not to take a small grant last year.
Yeah.
And my recollection is the gal that we dealt with on that indicated that she thought the same program would be coming up again this year, but it doesn't. The application period is in the fall, as I recall. I'm not. Is there something that's available today?
That's what I was. No, nothing today.
Right. Okay. So moving along, other correspondence in here. Congresswoman Carol Shea Porter has open office hours here at the Tuftonboro Town offices on May 15th from 2 to 4 p.m. So, various other things in here. Let's see. Don't know that there's anything that we need to delve into here. The Joint Loss Safety Committee will be doing their annual safety inspections on Wednesday, May 30th and Wednesday, June 6th of all town buildings and properties. LRPC meeting May 21st. I think most of the rest of the stuff in here is just informational. Wetlands permit by notification for property 61-114 Thomasville Road. Okay. Any other business?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We won't be meeting for 2 weeks. Jim had a family matter to take care of and then was sick the day before. We're now into June and we have some issues that need to be discussed.
Yep. Yep.
In fairness to him, he's been busy. But I noticed the spring budget is almost spent and over 4,000 of the summer budget has been spent. So I want to be constructive and open.
Yep.
So we're not meeting again until June 4th?
June 4th is our next regular meeting. Well, we got a work session on Thursday morning. With,
I don't want to do it Thursdays. You're leaving and you got work to do. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can spend as much time as we need to on it, but we'd like to, spend some time with them.
We do.
So, do you want to sign up for the 4th of June? I mean, I think that's our only time of help.
Exactly.
Yep.
And limit the number of
Unless,
other.
unless we want to try and do it on the Friday before in a work session, June 1st. The benefit to that is, it seems to me in the work session setting, you really have a little more time to go through the items.
So Friday, June 1st.
Yep. Would that work?
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with it.
All right.
Just Jim,
Just Jim, just the road agent.
not an ever-expanding
No.
cast of characters.
Well, I mean, if there's
Well,
any.
personally, it works out good for me because I sign the checks that day. So I'm
Yeah.
here anyway.
Yep. So, yeah. And given that it's before we have a regular meeting on Monday, other stuff that comes up doesn't, it's not like, yeah, well, we gotta get this while it's here,
Right.
type of thing. So, all right.
Sounds good.
Any
Make a
other-
motion that we adjourn.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, public comment.
Well, a question, clarification on the contract with ORPC. So they're going to be doing guardrail assessments throughout town, or was it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Could be
Yes,
part of
yes,
the paving too.
yes,
you know,
as-
what-
yeah, at the same time they're doing the paving.
Great, and it's 8,300, so.
Yep. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.